So we are here to talk about Phantasm. So I know from, when she was telling me about you coming on the show, she's mentioned that you were a really huge fan of Phantasm. So what is it about Phantasm that appeals to you as much as it does?
Is it the nostalgia of like when you discovered it?
There is that in it, yeah. I mean, it's like a kind of coming of age film. So my introduction to it, I overheard my dad talking about it with my uncle, I think, and I ordered the VHS of it, and yeah, there's like a warmth to it. There's the song, there's the Dos Equis they're drinking, the two brothers hanging out in this town. But yeah, there's like a real organic nature to it, and there's like a sort of it's a bunch of mavericks, and they were so young when they made it. I think they made it over the course of a year on weekends with their friends. It's these friends that got together and they made this. It's just such an anomaly. An ice cream man and a young kid battling a tall man, and it's while it doesn't. He was a teenager when he wrote it. He's put together all these different elements, but it works so well. I really love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a synopsis for it for anyone who may not have seen Phantasm 1979. So, newly orphaned teenager Mike Pearson, his older brother Jody, and their friends face off against a mysterious grave robber known as the Tall Man, who employs a lethal arsenal of unearthly weapons in their Southern California town.
Cool.
Great synopsis.
Yes. Phantasm weirdly has an alternative title, not in all countries, but in Australia and New Zealand, apparently it's called The Never Dead, which I actually think is a kind of cool title.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Phantasm, but yeah, I thought it was okay.
I think it was to avoid because there was an Australian porn film called Phantasm, I think.
Oh my God.
Spelt F-A-N-tasm. So yeah, I think that's why. They wanted to avoid confusion.
I mean, as far as like reasons to have an alternative title go, that's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Love the video nasties with about 1,000 alternative titles, as we do. So Don Coscarelli, he's an interesting guy as far as like the masters of horror, if you want to call them, Mick Garris's term. So the first film that he made, I've not actually seen, but it's called, is it John the World's Greatest?
Jim the World's Greatest.
Jim's the World's Greatest. Okay, I was almost right. So Jim's, so his first film is Jim's the World's Greatest, which I've not seen.
I also have not seen this.
So how's that one, Niall?
That one's okay. I'm not as familiar with that one. It's his second one, Kenny and Company, I know a lot better.
So yeah, Kenny and Company, I quite liked. It's got that sort of, because it's from a child's point of view, which is very interesting considering the film afterwards is Phantasm. And I thought it was quite an entertaining film. I quite enjoyed it. It's sort of film that doesn't really get made now because it doesn't really have a plot. It's just basically about these kids in America, and halfway through the film they kind of learn about mortality and death and things like that. And at the end, there's like, because it's building up to Halloween, they then celebrate Halloween. And I think it's very nice film.
So was he very young when he directed Phantasm? He was quite young, wasn't he?
He was like, might be wrong here. Like he was, he was in his early 20s. I think his dad helped him finance it. His mum did I read that his mum did a lot of the special effects and costume, but she took a pseudonym on the credits because they thought it was ridiculous to have so many Coscarellis on the credits.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, he was super young and they made it on weekends. And I think Kenny and Company, I think what happened was it builds up to Halloween, that film, and there's a scare in that film. But I think he saw the audience react to the scare and he thought, oh, hang on a second, there's something I like here. So he thought, I want to do a horror film. I'm pretty sure that was what the...
Yeah, he said that in the director's commentary that I saw. Yeah. I thought it was quite interesting. So Don Coscarelli, when Phantasm was released, was 25 years old, and the film was made for less than $1 million. And I thought that was quite interesting given some of the films that have come out this year.
Yeah.
To say that.
Yeah, which have done incredibly well for less than $1 million.
Yeah.
And can we talk about the size of the house in this film? It's absolutely huge, the funeral home. It's massive.
So, mentioned alternative titles. One of the alternative titles you could have had for this is Mausoleum.
Yeah. Which we've already covered.
Which we have already covered. But yeah, it is about this funeral home and there's a mausoleum in it. And there's a graveyard.
It's so, I wonder if Lynch influenced him in any way because it's so Lynchian, like the dwarves and the red and the white and black and the long corridors and liminal spaces and the surrealism behind it all feels very Lynchian.
Yeah, it's definitely got that quality. But yeah, it reminded me of like something like the Belle La Bête. It's got that kind of quality to it. It's kind of
It's very Cocteau-esque.
Yeah.
Particularly the ending, which we won't spoil yet. But yes, that is particularly Cocteau-esque.
That ending's been copied quite a few times, actually.
I'm not surprised. It's a fucking great ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, Angus Scrimm is kind of terrifying in this. I mean, I think that's what, holds a lot of it together, like the tension and the scares. It's him. His acting's incredible in this.
Yeah, what I find interesting, he's not actually in this film that much. Apart from like near the end, he's in it quite a bit, sort of in the last sort of 10 or 15 minutes. But other than that, he only appears about 3 or 4 times. So when he does appear, it's a lot more impactful than in some of the sequels. I'll just say that much.
Yeah, I mean, they did that in a lot of other horror movies, like especially in the 80s. So like Pinhead's not in the first Hellraiser very much at all.
No, he's
Beetlejuice doesn't get much screen time in the first Beetlejuice movie.
I read it about Freddy Krueger as well recently. They calculated how many minutes he was in I don't know if they were talking about the first film, but how many minutes he was actually in it, and it was surprisingly
low.
Yeah, it's really low.
It's just that tension of waiting for them, I guess. But yeah, when he's on screen, it's very imposing, which makes such a huge difference.
Yes, he's got about 3 or 4 very quotable lines in it as well. The one that I may have kind of changed a little bit for the intro of the show, that's obviously one. But the funeral is about to begin. Is great.
Yeah.
And what does he say? You boy. He says boy a lot. Boy. Was loving the 70s hairstyles in this and absolutely cracking up when they did the open casket scene and they said, oh, it's a good idea not to let your little brother come to the funeral and see Tommy like this. And I was thinking, yeah, because that handlebar moustache is horrific. Just can't be seen with that these days. Although it is back in style now with the mullet. So yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you can tell it's a film from the 70s because there will be a guy in it with long hair and like full facial hair, like full moustache. God, I love the 70s stylings, don't you?
Yeah, and we were saying earlier that Reggie Bannister said, oh, they did him dirty with that hairstyle, or with the ponytail, but bald on top. And I think maybe that was his own personal style. Maybe that was his choice. So sorry, Reggie.
Yeah, he's great in it. And they had the song they put together. What is it? Sitting Here at Midnight. That track.
That song is so cool. I love that scene.
And they're sitting there sipping on Dos Equis beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the nightmare, the Tool Man, like you were saying, I think it leans into something can't really explain. It's kind of like childlike nightmares. But yeah, I think it's is it the 4th one where they got him on Main Street in New York. They shot it at like 4 a.m. or something. They got him walking. They replicate the scene from the first one when he's walking down the street.
It's another iconic scene.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the 4th one yet, but I'll have to check it out. But I did notice that Reggie got more pervy after the first one.
Yeah.
It seems to be all about the ladies as soon as you hit the second film.
What's the quote in the 3rd one when he hooks up with the tries to hook up with the black girl and she's like, I don't like, was it something like, I don't like vanilla or something? It gives me gas or something like that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it very interesting that after this film, they made him kind of the center of the franchise when he's like the 4th highest character in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because obviously, you got Jodie and then you got Mike and then you got the Tall Man. And I find it interesting because I think the reason this film works better than the others is because it's Mike's story. He's the protagonist and it's about something, like it's about him dealing with what's happened to his brother.
Yeah. Well, also, as much as I loved this movie, he looks about 14 and he's a mechanic, accomplished mechanic. He rides a motorbike, a pretty nice motorbike, and he's swigging beer and he doesn't really look old enough for it. I was like, holy shit, dude.
Fires a gun at one point as well.
Yeah.
Don't forget that.
He gets wrecked there's a deleted scene where Mike gets totally wrecked on beers and they have him, because Reggie's an ice cream man, and they have him laid out. They have him laid out on a table covered in ice cream. It's like a deleted scene you can find. But yeah, there was that as a kid. He's jamming around on his motorbike, and he's like, what is he? He's perving on his own brother, and
yeah, that's totally weird. And then his brother is completely unbothered that he's just seen him like with this girl, which is very strange.
It was the 70s.
He's like zipping around this graveyard on his motorbike.
Yeah, the character throughout the sequels, you're right. Reggie does become the main character. He's like the comedy value in the first one, and then kind of becomes.
They try and turn him into like Ash from Evil Dead, ironically.
And I realised when I watched this movie, I was like, I've seen him in so many other things as well. He's like in Wishmaster, and just feels like
everyone was in
up.
Wishmaster.
Feels like he pops up in loads of like indie horror movies. So I just knew his face very well. But the Ice Cream Man angle is very interesting, especially with the new Eli Roth film coming out and the previous version of the Ice Cream Man. It's very similar. That kind of vintage uniform and vintage ice cream van is quite
Howard.
Quite creepy, yeah.
Yeah, I found it quite amusing that he's an ice cream man. Something about it just tickles me with the way he looks as well, which, look, I get that's just how he looks. But yeah, this balding man with a ponytail just driving this old school kind of ice cream truck is just.
And then he gets out his guitar and starts like rocking on the porch.
That's all you need to know about him.
I love the shot when the ice cream van's on its side on the road, and it's that's a great shot towards the end, actually.
Yeah, like the stunts and effects in this were pretty decent, actually. There's like that explosion in it, and
there's quite a few explosions.
Quite well done. Yeah, quite well done.
Yeah, there's boulders as well. Going back to Bloody Moon, if you remember that. These are much more convincing looking boulders as well, falling down like a cliffside. This happens right near the end of the film. We tend to jump around quite a lot in these reviews, by the way, so in case you haven't noticed. But yeah, like, I think considering the budget wasn't huge and watching the director's commentary, like Coscarelli is sort of quite, keen to point out many times that like, oh, we did it this way because we just didn't really have that much money. We had to shoot this once or twice. Like the scene where Mike is basically creating an exploding hammer from scratch. Mm-hmm. I think they used the first take of that because that's the only number of takes they had. They just had to get it right like first or second time. So, just things like that I just find quite interesting.
There was one, I can't remember which scene it was now, but there was something where somebody got hit in the leg or the foot and then they cut away, and you could tell it was so separate to it, but sort of just about, get away with it. Yeah.
But like Mike is quite he's a likable character, I would say.
Yeah.
I find this very interesting. So this film is obviously, it's very 70s. It's very of its time, but if this had came out in 1985, this would have fit in very, very well because you've got all these kind of horror films or like horror adjacent films about kids, like The Goonies and Monster Squad and Lost Boys, right? So this could have fit in quite easily with them, but like this has a lot more going for it than those films do. I'm sorry, guys, so, Prince Charles crowd won't like me for saying this, but I'm just not a huge fan of those kind of films because they're quite silly. They're for kids.
Yeah.
Not for adults, but whatever.
I mean, there are funny parts about this, but it is a more serious tone overall.
It's more melancholic.
Yeah.
I would say. Because it's about death.
Yeah.
Things like that.
The dwarves and the silver ball with the drill is like such an interesting idea as well.
It's just the town as well. Like even the ice cream man, it doesn't seem like there's anyone around for him to even sell ice cream to. Or maybe it's a budget thing. There's no extras. It's so empty. But again, that comes from like there's like in your early 20s something angsty about being in a small town and seeing everyone kind of disappear and go off to the city and being left there. There's something in that about where I'm from that maybe resonated as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's quite interesting you say that because a lot of films now with lower budgets, one of the things you'll notice, and this isn't just specific to horror, by the way, there are no extras in films anymore. Like, I remember back in my day, no, but like, not even that long ago, you'd have shots in films of people just wandering around the town or the city, or they'd be eating in a restaurant, or there'd be people in the background or drinking in a pub, right? But there just aren't that many extras now. I get in this film, it's a slightly deliberate choice to make the town feel more ghost-like, I guess, or to give it that kind of feel. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I do.
Costs money. I've been an extra many a time, and it tends to be a lot of TV or high budget movies where they do that, and costs money. Extras are a liability. You've got them all milling around everywhere, causing trouble.
Extras. Bringing down Hollywood, so many extras. Yeah. But yeah, look, I really like this film a lot. And like I said, when we were interviewing you earlier, like one of the things I like about it is it has the feel of an Italian film. So you don't know me obviously, but I love Italian films. So I love Argento, Fulci, and this has a very specific feel of Italian films from like the late 70s, early 80s. So I said earlier, like The House by the Cemetery and Beyond and films like that, because there's lots of elements in the plot that aren't explored or really explained, which give it the dreamlike quality as well, ironically. So
yeah, it's a lack of explanation in terms of how the scenes are put together. Also, the soundtrack. I'm sure the
soundtrack is very Italian,
inspired by Goblin and
it's awesome. I love the soundtrack.
And it's similar to the Exorcist theme as well. So this came after that, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I love the soundtrack. Soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah, and the soundtrack kind of carries throughout the series as well. But I think, especially if you compare this to Phantasm 2, where because it was released by a major studio, Universal, you can tell that maybe they leaned on Coscarelli a lot to say, well, can you explain like the tall man, like why he seems to be immortal? Like, what's this? Can you expand on what this is, please?
I think Coscarelli had quite a tough relationship with the industry, from what I've read. I think he got offered Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. I think he got offered,
right.
but he turned down, and he did a couple metal videos, and then he was attached to Silver Bullet. He might have even started. It was like maybe a week or two before they started filming. He fell out with Dino Laurentiis. Is that the project?
Yeah.
Who's classically known for...
Well, he's Italian, so yeah. Kind
of a Harvey Weinstein kind of character. But yeah,
maybe not in that way, but yeah, just difficult to deal with, shall we say.
A bully, basically. But yeah, Coscarelli was attached to that. So I think he had a lot of this stuff's been in development hell, and it's not quite happened.
So is that why he hasn't made that many films from all the stuff that you've read from him?
I think so. I think a lot of stuff just he couldn't get funding for. I know he also wanted to make a pirate movie for a long time, I read. This is before, what was the big box office failure?
Cutthroat Island.
I think it was before that he wanted to make some big epic. But yeah, I mean, he did. Is it Survival Quest? Is like a direct-to-video film which Reggie Bannister's in. I mean, Bubba Hotep he did later on is. I mean, that's probably the one that people know the best. I'd say maybe.
Yeah, because Bruce Campbell's in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
John dies at the end,
which is all right. I'm not a massive fan of that.
Yeah, not very good to that one.
Yeah, because when we talk about the fifth Phantasm film. Because the guy who directed Phantasm 5, I think he was one of the visual effects artists on John Dies at the End, or he worked in that department.
Do you know what? I think if talking of Winnie the Pooh, I'm pretty sure he worked on the animated series of Winnie the Pooh. I think he was like in the animation.
It's all interconnected, isn't it?
Awesome.
Yeah. But like a lot of the CGI in John Dies at the End is a bit shit.
Yeah.
It just is. So it's quite an ambitious film. I can tell he's kind of going for that sort of Naked Lunch kind of style, but the CGI just isn't great. So it just looks cheap and a bit shit.
Well, that's what makes Phantasm great. I saw Dark Star at the BFI not long ago, and I love seeing the seams in things. I love, the scene in the elevator. You can see it's just like a hallway, and obviously the alien's a beach ball. But in the same way in Phantasm, you talk about the effects, like. A lot of them you can see what's happening. You can see the seams in it. I think that's got like a
appeal to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like the flying silver sphere, right? A lot of that is just they threw it and then reversed the shot, and that's why it's like that. Things like that
so
are just
clever.
Awesome because you can't tell unless you're kind of sitting there nitpicking or like. I can see that. Blah, blah,
and
blah.
that zoom in on the photo frame in the antique store where he turns and looks, it felt very like, It, the 80s straight to TV movie.
Oh, Pennywise.
Yeah, where
that's
he's in the image and he turns.
That was Tommy Lee Wallace. That was early 90s. Yeah, ABC
Early 90s,
did that.
yeah.
Again, that was kind of serviced pretty badly. They did that and Tommy Knockers. But I love it, actually. That's the 90s version's great. But yeah, you're right. That photo scene when he jumps on the lamppost, right?
Yeah, and I feel like in Phantasm it was like an early version of that, so it's pretty shonky to watch it now, but it's a nice idea that they used back in like 1979 and it's been used since. So yeah, I liked it that they used that in Pennywise in It.
Yeah.
Also like the choice of the yellow blood, actually. It kind of reminded me of, you remember when we watched Jimmy and Stiggs?
Yes.
And you got that bright blood. It's like a weird choice.
So I read that when they released the film initially, they gave out promotional fingers in a little case.
Oh, nice.
Got it in the bush. They gave out, yeah. I wonder how much that would be worth now, but yeah.
Yeah, the finger in the box was quite a cool effect as well. So very simple but effective.
Yeah, that's what you get in a lot of films from this period is, the special effects are quite, you can tell, right, that they're effects, but because they're not CGI, they're a lot more tactile. You can feel them a lot more. Like, for example, another scene that I like quite early on in the film is the scene with the grandmother who's like the fortune teller, right? And where the box, it just appears. And you can tell literally what they must have done is just, there's a shot, nothing, and then they just put the box there and they kind of just do a fade. But like sometimes that's just all you need.
Yeah, very
right?
simple.
And also, do you think Coscarelli was maybe influenced by Dune? Because the whole putting your hand in a box and being told like fear is the mind killer, right? I don't know, to me this is clearly Dune, so I don't know. I thought that was quite interesting.
It's also, yeah, I mean, the little dwarfs, it's almost like Jawas, aren't they, from Star Wars? Seems like there's a lot of elements that could have been borrowed from,
Yeah, the dwarf, when I forgot about the dwarves when I rewatched this, I was like, the dwarves are just so bizarre. It's very creepy at first when you catch a flash of them, and then when they're like, oh, they see somebody, it's like, oh, it's brown and low to the ground. What is it? It's like, oh, it's so funny when they actually realize it's just dwarves and people that have been shrunk. It's such a bizarre concept.
Yeah. But I like that there's a lot of lore, which is a very popular term now.
Yeah.
Just in kind of media generally, how they set up all this lore, but they don't really explain it. I think that's really cool how, like, when you go into the funeral home, there's this alternative dimension that you can go into where there's all these barrels and these, hooded dwarves and it's all red and, like, they don't explain what it is, why it's there. Now, obviously, when you've seen all the sequels, that kind of fills in a lot of the gaps and you go, okay, well, this is actually why this happens. This is why they kill the tall man in every film and he just comes back and he's fine. And it's like, okay, cool. Like all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, something about that just really appeals to me because I guess spoiling the end, if you have not seen Phantasm, this is a massive spoiler. It's all a dream, guys. No, so when we talk about the theme of the film being about sort of, Mike and his brother has died and he's dreaming. And there are scenes in the film where he is, clearly in bed asleep, right? There's a really cool shot where the tall man just appears behind him in bed.
Oh, that's
a great shot. And it cuts to the graveyard.
Yeah, I loved that. I thought it was amazing.
There's a lot of shots that just seem to happen for a couple of seconds and they aren't really explained. That's one of the cool kind of elliptical kind of editing choices that I like in this film, which were Coscarelli himself, because he edited and shot this film himself, because it's a low budget film. That's kind of what you have to do. But yeah, just stuff like that. It does kind of make sense. But yes, at the end, you've seen all this stuff and then it's like, oh, it's actually a dream, which it actually does make sense it's a dream. Because look, a fucking box appeared out of nowhere. About 20 minutes into the film, and it's like, well, okay, how did that happen?
Yeah, and it's just kind of an excuse for Reggie to be there at the end, which totally messed up my death count. But as I usually count how many people die on screen, and I mean, effectively, I guess none really. And a lot of this you don't really see anyway. There's a lot of off-screen deaths that are implied, or we think they've died. So I think really it's like 9 on screen, but then if the mum and dad died before the film starts, that makes 11. But then if you take Reggie away from that because he survives, bunny ears, quote unquote, survives, then it's 10 deaths or 8 that we see or know of. So it's a weird one with the death count. There's a lot of death going on, but does it happen? We're told not.
I read there wasn't. I don't think they even had. I don't think the actors ever saw like a complete script as well. I think because they were making it over the course of a year or whatever, I think they kept on changing scenes to suit the budget and that sort of thing. But again, that kind of maverick quality, it just doesn't feel like that there'll ever be a time where stuff will be made like that and, be in cinemas anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is a theory I've had for a long time. If you look at a lot of directors who were prominent in the 70s, I'm talking just in horror, their best work was done in the 70s and the 80s. And when they've tried to make films, now or the 2000s, it's nowhere near as good as their work. Now, I imagine some of that is just, he's just older now. But it's the surroundings or the conditions they're working in as well, isn't it? Really, let's face it.
Yeah, I mean, not having to answer. You mean like not having to answer to?
Yeah, having to answer to suits, or the people who are producing your film, you can lie to them more and just go, oh yeah, we'll take your suggestion on board and then just not do it. That seemed to happen a lot back in those days, I've noticed. Like some dumb executive will say, well, I don't like this and this doesn't make sense. And we go, okay, cool, yeah, we'll do that. And then they just won't do it. And then the executive will forget that they even had that fucking suggestion in the first place. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I see it across the board, really. I think it's...
I imagine it happens a lot now as well.
I think there's a lot more hoops to jump through now. Like if something's being financed, you have to adhere to what they want a lot. But I guess it can vary depending on who it is.
So that's Phantasm. Before we go on to the sequels, in case you guys haven't seen this for some reason and you want to watch it on streaming, if you're in America, you've got a lot of choices. So you've got my favorite Tubi. It's on Shudder. It's on Prime. It's on Roku. It's on Foursome. It's on Peacock. It's on AMC. It's on Canopy. So if you've got a library subscription in America, you can see Phantasm at your local library. How lucky are you? It's available all over the place. In the UK, not so much. You have to buy it on like Amazon or whatever. But if you want to own it on Blu-ray, in Region A, America, it's been released by Wellgo USA, a company I've never heard of, but they did release this. And if you're in the UK, you can watch it on Blu-ray from Arrow, which I've got right here. So this is the Arrow Region B version. It's got all the extras on it, things like that.
Yeah, and I just what is this that you've brought with you, Niall? If you could just tell, because obviously we're not videoing this today, so if you could mention.
I should have brought it home. I've got the Silver Sphere box set on my desk. Actually, I've got the Tallman figure. I've got the 4 posters signed of each, and I've got his mum did a novelization of the film as well. I've got that signed. They made like 100 copies. But here, Dustin McNeil, who's a super fan, he made his book I've got here, which is really good.
Phantasm Exhumed.
Don Coscarelli's book is great as well. I got that just on my phone, on Kindle. And then
nice.
Yeah, here, I mean, I think Kenny and Company, for whatever reason, really weird. It was massive in Japan. His second film, it was huge, and they flew the kids out there, and they were like the Beatles almost.
Wow.
It was massive. I think because it kind of captured their idea of American life. And yeah, so because of that, I think Phantasm had a market out there. So I got the Japanese version of the soundtrack here.
Oh, wow.
That's how you know that you're a super fan, is you got the Japanese edition of the soundtrack.
Oh, it's beautiful artwork on the vinyl cover.
It's amazing. Got it on Discogs. And I've just got the OG soundtrack here as well.
Wow.
Oh, awesome. Some nice collector's item. I remember that Sphere box set coming out, I think, because I used to work in a music shop when I was at uni on the weekend, and I'm sure we had that in, and we had the Hellraiser puzzle box set, which I still have, but I didn't get the Phantasm one. I got the Hellraiser one. I think it was out around the same time.
I remember seeing it in like NVC, loads of them on the shelves. Yeah, it's a great series. Yeah.